when you see how good these ideas are, there hasn't been any other trades even close to it as good. Literally, not a single trade anywhere that's been as good as these key strike price levels. And these are all based on the skew narrative developing. And because they're based on the skew trade narrative developing, they're not relying on the big institutional traders per se, because obviously the big institutional traders on the likes of XLY, XLP, XLK, XLUs, they can diverge for quite some time, but these are index arbitrage traders, right? This is the whole point of skews, is to find the short-term index arbitrage guys. And if we can find the short-term index arbitrage, this is basically almost a market internal, isn't it? It's almost a market internal. Now, sometimes it doesn't give any value, but all we've got to do is make sure that we recognize the turning points. Like, I don't know if you saw what happened here. If you saw what happened in this little candle here. So what happened is that this drove down into a lower low, but the candle, by the time that candle closed, it was actually still just 1 tick or 2 ticks off the bottom edge here. Well, we should be above the top edge. So if you can strike fast enough into that, you're going to make some monies. And that's the same that happened on this red candle. The orange was still dropping, and yet we had a red candle. Well, that must be an index arbitrage buy trade. And if we buy into that one as well, we get another scorcher to the upside. And like we've got just now, it's just fair value, isn't it? It's fair value, so what's our trade? Well, there is no trade. So we simply recognize that that pullback is now into a low price there. And if we want to mark that level, we can mark the level and pay attention to it. It might never turn into anything, but we can pay attention to it. And we just keep going through this process until we start seeing some discounts or premiums to one of these red lines, right? That's all we do, is if we get a discount to the red line, we start buying it. If we get a premium to the red line, we start selling it into these areas. So obviously at the moment, this looks like it could be a buy trade on a downtick, and we'll start watching for those downtick phases. And we maybe do the dealer's exercise to see if we can capture a bit of dealer's opportunity there. And, you know, those types of trade narratives as well. We can do those kind of things into these areas, and that's how we can start developing out our gameplay narrative. Now, this could become a very, very interesting buy. We're coming back into this previous buy level. Obviously, the blue line's divergent from the orange line, and there's a bit of value just coming in. So let's see if we can jam some buyers or jam some sellers into this. We've got a wholesale price of 40. Let's see what happens. Not yet. We haven't been able to jam that guy in at 40 yet. We stayed at 40, so there's still no trade for me. Still no trade. Still no trade, but there's going to be a trade. I'm just waiting for it to show up, guys. If I don't get it on the way down, I might get it on the way back up, because I'm certainly not getting it on the way down just now. The sellers are still in place just now, so I'm not getting it on the way down. Remember, play the market makers game. If you're looking at these wondering, how do I deal? Play the market makers game, guys. You're playing the market makers game. You wait for the minute candle to close, and then you make your decision based on the volume on that trade. Okay, I've taken the trade on the way back up again. And I'm booking my first profits already, guys. I'm booking my first profits. I made $10,000 in that little trade there. 10 grand. Nice trade. Now, I never got the trade on the way down, so I had to take it on the way back up again, so I got a price of 38. Do I care? No, because I've got plenty of room to make money on this trade, so I got a price of 38 on basically the Heisman trade there. Because there was no jam, there was no leans. You can see it was always a buy trade, but I got a price of 38, right? And obviously the trades just went up to 44, 45. Well, that's a perfectly good trade, is it not? Absolutely. Absolutely perfect. Did anybody join me? Did anybody have the guts to step into that dropping market just there? Into a key price that we already knew about? with divergence that we already knew about, yeah? So obviously, the divergence that we knew about was here. So even on that short-term basis, the price should be doing that. On the short-term basis, the price should be doing that. So that narrative is starting to line up. And then we see the short-term value, which is the orange against the blue, into that low price, perfect opportunity, and a very nice outcome, guys. 47s traded. 47s. 40 bloody sevens. We just bought it 38s. Nice trade, guys. That's nearly $500. 1 or 2 minutes. $500 in 1 or 2 minutes, guys. You couldn't make it up, could you? Lovely trade. Great execution. And a solid enough storyline off of a key price level. Shakes you like a box of chocolates.